Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Junkyard Digs. Today you join me, Mook, Tom, is it?
Yeah.
And his 59 F100 in a driveway somewhere down in Des Moines. And the reason we're here is because Tom is selling me his 59 F100. Sounds like there are some things to fix on this, and we've got 5 days to do it and then drive 340 miles to Chetek, Wisconsin. Let's get to work. Today's episode of Junkyard Digs is going to be a little unique. Instead of starting with a non-running driving vehicle we pull out of a barn as usual, I want to start with something that is running and driving so I can finally show you guys something I've wanted to do for years. Today we're going to show you how to take your interior from this to this for just a few $100. We're going to break the industry today. We're going to use very little of the normal car interior pieces and make this quiet and comfortable as if it was a new car, but with all that awesome old car flair. And of course, in typical Junkyard Digs fashion, we're going to do this in 5 days and then road trip it 600 miles to Chetek, Wisconsin and back. Now to do this, I need a vehicle that is at that point of finish already. And ironically, I literally do not own one that is nice enough to do this to and runs and drives. All of our cars are still in pieces waiting for videos to be finished on them, since the only time I turn wrenches is when the camera's turned on. However, a fan recently reached out and Tom here had the perfect 59 F100 sitting down in Des Moines, ready for some retrofitting. All we had to do was head down to Des Moines, buy it, and get it home. And that right there is where we're gonna start on today's video. Now this truck does have something a little unique under the hood.
The 305 out of an 86 Pontiac.
That's not supposed to be there.
Nope. I didn't do this.
Okay.
This was here before I got it. It wasn't running well when I got it. There's a lot of sensors that aren't hooked up properly. I went through, did all the vacuum lines, tuned it up as best I could. Computer is not happy. It doesn't like to start when it's cold, and it likes to die
often
off of the interstate or at a stop.
Good.
Light.
Well, it's cold and I have to take the interstate. Perfect.
Exactly.
You think she'll light off?
Eventually. So if I turn it and fire it, it might fire and then die right away. Nope. This is where you prime it several hundred times.
Where's Dalton? He loves getting into these TPIs with me. She really does hate the cold.
It takes an uncomfortably long time to start. That's why I wanted to rip that out and put a carburetor on it. Alright, so when it does that, then it will fire soon.
Oh, she's thinking about it. Runs great.
Yeah, perfect. See ya.
Wow, that idle air control valve is loud. Oh, look, now it's happy. For now, he says. I feel like you know a lot more of what I'm going to get into than I expect. Oh, he's got the Mortsky sticker on the car, too. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from both of you guys, man. I did the back brakes, one of your tutorials, so...
Oh, like now I should really be worried about driving it.
Yeah.
The consequences of my own actions back to haunt me again. Well, sir, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Take good care of her. No door seals, I already forgot. Wow, the brakes work excellent. Someone must have taught him well. I'm glad it has a steering wheel from a bus. Oh, touchy throttle. You know, I believe there's a legitimate quote from Henry Ford once that said, "I didn't build these vehicles for you to put a damn Chevrolet engine in them." I mean, so far up to 15 mile an hour through this housing unit, seems to be doing pretty good. We have a mere 36 miles back to the shop where we can start working on this thing. Starting with, whoa, those brakes are touchy. Holy hell. Oh, like just breathe on the brakes and you're in the windshield, which is excellent, except the pedal is 5 inches higher than the gas. Me with my long legs, I have to put my knee into the steering wheel just to reach the brake pedal. This is going to be a pretty unique episode. Instead of doing a revival, we're going to show those finishing touches to take a truck from good do really good. There's all the wind noise. While I have you here as a captive audience, I'd like to change something in the Ford community, that being the names of the trucks. If you are familiar with vintage Ford trucks, you know that there's 6 generations of body style that we care about, really. 7 if you count OBS. You have your dent sides, your bump sides, your brick nose, your bull nose, and then you have this, the fridge. And the one after this, like the 65, the slick. Why are they not fridge nose and slick side? You would then have slick side, bump side, dent side, which run right into each other in terms of year. Makes that make way more sense. And then you would have fridge nose, brick nose, and bull nose, which arguably are the 3 most square trucks that Ford ever made. Why that's not that way, I don't know. I'm just going to start calling it that, and I hope that you guys join in and we can change this to fridge nose and slick side. After monologuing, I continued home with little drama but lots of interior noise. The weather strip was shot, causing lots of wind noise, and all the large flat metal panels acted like an echo chamber, reverberating any noise into a larger one. Either way, after a quick gas stop, I eventually arrived at Tom's. We've definitely got some work to do to make this cab more habitable for long road trips. Fix the rocks hitting the metal, as you can hear, are very, very annoying. I do not love that at all. But before we start all that, let's see what Tom thinks.
I've seen better stuff in a junkyard. Where'd you ever get that truck?
This is the single nicest thing I've ever showed up in. So, you were definitely the person to go to for this one.
Why?
Well, you've got your blue 70, and that's like driving around in a new car inside. Because you've done so well cheaply making the interior sound really nice, and as you can see, we use a bit of that in here.
We could.
And on top of that,
solid as a rock. What? That's not what I expected.
nope. You have one of these.
How's
though.
it run? I got 2 of these.
I think she's missing some sensors and stuff, and
Yeah, probably.
solenoids on the trans aren't, like, I think the torque converter lockup isn't hooked up and stuff like that.
Oh, I love the overflow bottle. What do we got here?
I don't know if I drink that one. I don't think we're quite in for that kind of day. Should we go for a drive?
Sure.
It's the GM key.
All right. I can't believe they don't have an issue with that. What do they call it when you organ donor and it doesn't match up?
It rejects the organ.
Rejection, yeah. It doesn't want to start. Come on, baby. I broke it.
Give her 2 or 3 primes on the key and then she'll, oh.
There it goes. Ooh, brakes work.
They're
Holy
really touchy.
crap.
Alright, we'll let the professional TPI mechanic go.
Yeah,
Definitely will not. He'll know everything. This will go so smooth.
It's a good thing we got a wrecker.
Oh yeah, the brakes went out like the next day. We drove home and parked it. I walked out the next morning. There was a puddle under the right rear.
Sweet.
No rear brakes.
You know anybody that can fix brakes?
Yes. Know anyone that wants to right now?
No.
Yeah, the off idle's goofy.
It's not happy about anything, is it?
No. Cruising down the road at 1 throttle position or under load, it's pretty okay. There's the rocks. You can hit anywhere on the cab and it'll be loud.
It's kind of like a V8 powered garbage can.
Yeah, no kidding. I haven't done this yet. 60. That ain't terrible. For a brick, it flies pretty good.
Aerodynamic as a barn.
He said the engine doesn't have a speed reading, the ECU.
That'd probably make it mad.
Yeah. Well, let's make a plan and attack, I suppose.
Sounds good to me. All we need is a bunch of glue.
At this point, we took one look at the ECU and decided to ignore the fuel injection for now. Let's focus on the interior. Tom gave me a grocery list and I headed into town to see what I could find. Okay, Tom had to stay home and finish up some work. He sent me on a parts run to town to go get sound deadening material, carpet, all that stuff to make the inside of this truck much, much better. The first trick in the book apparently is automotive stuff is always more expensive And it's essentially the same material, at least, as what you would use in a house. So the first stop, let's go to Menards and find some carpet and sound deadening. I could get ridiculously creative, but I'm actually having trouble finding just normal looking stuff. Eventually I found everything I needed in town and we were headed back. All right, we got all our stuff from Menards. I've got some lunch with me here. We've swung by O'Reilly's and picked up some headliner that they have out on the floor along with some adhesive glue. Still running good. I mean, it still runs weird, but it's still running good. Oh, side note to the guy that just paid for my lunch at Chick-fil-A. Thank you. That was cool. Okay, it's been a little bit. I've returned back from our trip to Ames to get stuff, and we have just that, stuff. So far, I think we're about $150, $160 into our cheap interior sound deadening project, if you will. We've got this carpet under matting from Menards. This was about $1.17 a square foot. I grabbed 60 square foot of that. I don't know how much I'm gonna need. It really wasn't a bunch of money, so I just grabbed a bunch. We've got a roll of headliner from O'Reilly's. We've got some adhesive spray, arguably the most expensive thing here. We got some cardboard backing that we can maybe make a headliner out of. I realized we're missing all the trim. We've got our carpet, and then we've got some actual sound matting scraps and a box of the deadening material that I grabbed from one of the local custom shops. Now, that could technically be cheating because that stuff is expensive as hell, but I argue if you have a custom shop there's a good chance they might have some of that sitting around for cheap. Well, I imagine this is where we want to start. These have a bit of a misconception to them in my mind. Everyone thinks you throw that on and your truck's going to be instantly silent.
Well, yeah, it's step one.
Yeah, this is just meant to keep panels from doing this. Yeah, the cardboard's actually a great example. It'll sound like this when we're done. That right now. The Silas Hybrid 3-in-1, that's what this is for.
Easy for you to say.
The actual sound deadening material, such as this Dynapad, if you want to spend a couple bucks, or in our case, this sheet of sub-carpet waterproof matting from Menards, is what's going to eat up all the sound. This is a lot more thickness, and it's going to absorb that sound a lot better.
Heat too from the driveway.
Probably. As a perfect example, Tom has this 7040 he's been working on for a while here. And as you can see, he's done carpet. He's got the 90s Ford truck seat. He's got the headliner and everything in here. And is there still? Yes, there's still one hole where you can see he's got some. What did we decide this was? Polystyrene?
I don't know. It's just packing. They used to come
flexible
with stuff. Though. Yeah, it's great. I've got it inside all the holes in the door so the wind doesn't blow through and kind of cuts down the sound.
And this thing is like driving around in a new car.
It is pretty quiet.
Like a cheap one, like a Toyota.
Yeah. Well, nicer than that. Give me a little credit.
You can just hear as I bring the camera into here that it's much quieter. So this sounds like an audio box that you would record sound in. This is what we're shooting for, and this is what we have. Yeah, let's see what kind of difference we can make. And with that, we began. Tom took the interior door panel off to find that the driver's door actually had a really old piece of sound deadening in it. Unfortunately, this type collected a lot of moisture and there was a lot of rust down in the door. I vacuumed it out and treated the inside of the panel and door with some rust reformer, and then started sticking the Silas strips to any flat panels we could find. A cool trick we learned with these is you don't have to stick them on as one big pad. In fact, it's better to cut them into strips and distribute them over an area. You use less to do the same exact amount of work. Oh yeah.
It's making a little difference all the way along. I might put a couple on each end too, you know?
I was just thinking the same. Most of it's the resonance is gone. It doesn't vibrate nearly as long. Okay, well, door is all painted. The camera feels about like I do. It can't focus either. This is what Woodstock was like, Tom?
No!
You were there, right?
I'm not that old.
Well, that dries. Let me give you the best example I can of why this stuff works. With a single strip on there. No more reverberation. We got a little more on there, actually. Haha, I said more on. With that in place, we started cutting up our carpet cushion that we got from Menards to fit in behind the seat in the cab, all the cracks that are on the roof, doors, everywhere we could shove a piece. This is what is going to absorb all the sound in the cab and really make it quiet. Whatever companies started making the sticky sound deadening have one hell of a marketing team, because I see that misused more than red RTV on a small block Chevy. Using something thick like this carpet cushion is the equivalent of screaming into a pillow instead of screaming into a rubber floor mat. And before you say it, yes, those companies do make a heavier material for this, but it is hundreds of dollars for 25 square feet. This stuff was like $60 for 60 square feet. It's got a plastic back lining that glues to everything really well, and it's waterproof. Well, my math's never been good, but I can run a hell of a scissors. We've got a full panel in the whole door, right up to here, all the way to the edges. Listen to the difference from that to this. This one rattles the hood ornaments. You said it, Tom. This is going to be a Lincoln Continental when we're done.
It's going to be a Lincoln Continental.
This will be the Junkyard Digs Deluxe Koozie of F100s. One more thing before we put the panel on here. Tom and his old man wisdomology said get some grease and smear it on these rails for the window. And the whole, you're not going to be able to see it in this truck, but there's a big crank and wheel and all this stuff in here, as well as this guy right here. It's going to help that window go up and down easier, a lot longer.
I like to stick this foam that you just save out of packing material, cut it to fit up in some of these big cavities where it doesn't really get wet, so because it would make it rust if it got wet much, but it blocks wind and deadens sound quite a bit. And I just cut it to where it fits up in there.
That's a weird cavity. Why is it?
It is a weird cavity. I don't know why that's there, but
hopefully we don't figure it out. Hey, the vent doesn't work anymore. There's a pocket down here in the corner that we're still getting rocks kicking up and hitting the bottom of this steel and just completely ringing the whole cab like a bell. So I'm going to try to get some insulation down in there. However, I don't want that getting moist and bringing moisture into the cab. So Tom said, hey, how about you just shrink wrap these hunks of foam, or if you don't have that, throw them in a Ziploc bag. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. There we go. There we go. And now a little time with the heat gun. Tighten that all up. There we go. I got a waterproof hunk of foam that I can shove down in that corner, keep the sound down, and not worry about the moisture getting in there, rotting out that cab corner. Alright, so most of our sound deadening is done. It's time to start figuring out a headliner. This is going to be goofy because we've got a nice flat plane here, a spot here behind the window where one piece would go really nice, except the corners turn right here and then they're vertical. So making that all one piece with our limited materials and skill set, I think we're going to come up with a plan that doesn't require any real curving and shaping of material.
we don't know what we're doing.
To sum it all up,
We can screw it in this end and then we can set it, hopefully it'll rest on this. Then we can always put a screw. It looks like there probably was a screw there once anyway. I think we can come with a piece on each side from here.
I have a seam there.
And then have a curve with a seam, and then one that's like this.
How the hell did they get a beer can ring on the roof?
I know, I saw that too. I don't know, that's weird.
Does it sit upside down? Maybe it was in Australia. Initial piece of headliner.
It sort of looks like a headliner.
Yeah, it's above you.
I feel like I can fly.
I have got a big old piece of foam tacked in place here with some adhesive spray glued to those other strips.
Yeah, that's incredible difference there.
Now that's quiet. Makes me wonder if we even needed the strips at all. It did keep us from gluing the whole thing to the steel.
Yeah.
Probably better moisture control that way. Let's keep fitting stuff. After a bunch more cutting, fitting, gluing, inhaling, shitting, shaving, taping, I might have burned off a couple brain cells, but the main piece of the headliner was shaped and in place. As you can see, we've got our headliner, our main piece, shaped and temporarily held in place. We're going to make all of our pieces before we glue all of the headliner to them. We think we're really smart.
Even if it's wrong, it sounds right.
It took us a little while to figure out what to use for these corner pieces since we needed to be able to easily cut them and bend them into place. Eventually I remembered I had some ABS sheets left over from my time at OAM where they make the plastic rocker covers. You can check those out, oamusa.com. This worked excellent as a backing material since it held its shape really well. It was strong yet quite flexible, and it was easy to work with. Now I can hear you in the comments already, where the hell am I supposed to get a sheet of ABS plastic? The answer is, well, Amazon. I'll put a link for all the materials that we use down in the description. You guys can check it out down there, and it'll give us a little kickback to the channel without costing you anything extra. Now, there's other places to find this, probably such as home improvement stores or lumber stores. I don't know what's around you guys specifically, but what you're looking for is ABS plastic because it is a thermoplastic. If you really need to work this into a bend, you can get a heat gun out and get a little curve in it. But trust me, be careful because it can go way too much, way too fast. Also, for the record, this stuff was textured on one side and 1/8 inch thick. The 1/8 inch seemed to be about perfect. Don't think the texture was entirely necessary, but it helped hold the material on with the adhesive really well. Okay, all of our interior paneling is done. We've got all our pieces of ABS shaped out. Everything's good to go. Waiting on the rest of the felt headliner material to show up at O'Reilly's. It's actually like the felt covering that you would use on subwoofer boxes and stuff like that, but it makes for a really cheap, good headliner. Tom had to run to town for a doctor's appointment quick. Woodstock was catching up with him. I am going to pop these doors off because we need to clean all this goopy crap out of here so that we can properly reapply the glue to set the new door seals in place. You know, hindsight, we should have done this a long time ago. Would have made everything inside a lot easier. Well, that looks like a wrap for a day. Let's test it. Is it quieter with the...
Yeah, it did sound like this.
I think that's enough for a day. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm tired of pounding on this too, so let's give that up right now.
See you guys in the morning. Good morning, sir.
You again?
Yep, I just keep showing up, goddammit. We've got all of our interior panels out of the truck this morning. It is time to start gluing stuff. Tom is cleaning up the panels with some window cleaner first. All you gotta do is spray some of your headliner adhesive on there and then cut out your favorite shape of the headliner material. Is this specific sided?
Yeah, it is.
Fuzzy side out.
That's the first mistake of the day, is I cut one out real nice and then it's got the soft side in.
Oh. Meanwhile, over here I've got all the glue and shit off the door. Went at it with a wire wheel, about the only way to do it. Found a bunch of rust in here that I was able to get out, so we'll hit that with some rust reformer and then paint everything up and get it ready to accept the new weather strip and glue. Alright, the big moment.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wrong piece of plastic. Right? Wrong? Wait. What's going on?
Yeah, I prepped the wrong piece of plastic.
This is day 3. I think I've decided.
I'm definitely not awake.
Yeah, we got a little trim work to do.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll fold it all the way around the edge.
Oh.
We'll put some spray around the edges and then we'll fold all that over.
You know, we're pretty good at figuring this out through denial and error. Pull our corners for that high dollar custom rod shop seams on the edge. We're going straight to Barrett Jackson with this one.
Big money.
I bet we can get $250,000.
They ain't seen nothing yet.
Nothing like our ABS plastic interior. As long as it doesn't get above like 300 degrees in the cab and this all starts drooping, we'll be fine.
There might be a problem, other problems.
Exactly.
At that point. There, we may not know what we're doing, but at least it'll look like crap.
Hey. That's an interior panel
Ain't
right
that
there.
pretty?
That ain't bad at all. All right, now we just do that like 1,200 more times.
We're gonna need a second can of spray.
Well, make sure you buy plenty of this because there's going to be some scraps, especially if you start this first thing in the morning or at the end of a night probably as well. We had a hell of a time keeping the glue side and the non-glue side separate, so I put a big light Sharpie mark across the whole back. So that keeps that identified.
You're
but
smarter than you look.
That still didn't stop me from tracing the wrong side. I would lay these on backwards and trace them, and then they would be mirrored. Make sure you stick the side getting the glue down against that side with the Sharpie, and then trace it out. Slowly making progress though. Once all the side pieces were done, we started gluing our main headliner. We're using the Loctite stuff we got from Menards because it's a lot cheaper than the expensive 3M headliner spray, and in my experience, it's actually a lot stronger. I liked it much more, especially being a third of the price. Whatever you use, what you want to do is spray the backing with one layer of glue and then spray the headliner with a layer of glue as well. Give those a few seconds to set up and then press them together. On a large piece like this, we put some marks on it to make sure we landed in the right spot and then press down half of it at a time. Once that's down, we simply fold up the dry half, respray, and repeat. With all the insulation in, all the panels shaped, and everything now covered in headliner, it was time to reassemble the interior. With a little bit of adjusting, it was all lined up perfect, and for the first time we could finally see all that work was absolutely worth it. That is our interior. Look at that. We might paint these screw heads to blend in a little better, but for $200 with some cardboard, subwoofer covering, ABS plastic sheets, this is incredible and so much quieter. With that done, our next step is to move on to carpet, I believe. That and get some door seals on that door that I painted up. That's all dry, so I think I can go start on that. I am playing with this big spaghetti noodle, trying to figure out how this lays in here. Everything's good except for this piece right here. And this might be a really cheap door seal. I have no idea. What I'm gonna do is take some of this, ooh, that's really sticky. Take some of this 3M black super weather strip and a gasket adhesive and put it down here. Get a nice healthy amount, a foot or so at a time. And then I'm gonna take that, set it in it for a couple seconds, pull it out so it's on both sides, kind of like the spray adhesive we were using. Blow on it until it's tacky and then shove her back down in. You got a metal lock tab here, and then all along the bottom it's supposed to go into this channel down there. Well, that could have went better. It's all on there. All our weather stripping's on there the best it can be. It's not shaped very well over here. I've got glue and a couple things keeping pressure on it, trying to get this to lay in. This one's extra thick right here around this turn so it seals. The main problem I ran into though is apparently my paint hadn't cured or reacted badly chemically to something beneath it. I don't know, but the second, and I mean second, that glue touched it, all the paint came right off. So I had to go through and strip all that in the middle of putting it on and get it back to steel or whatever I could get it to stick. Seems like the steel actually did the best. So what is the takeaway here? What did I learn? I don't know. What do I do different on the other door? I guess put the weather strip on to the bare steel and then paint around it. I don't know. Either way, it's done. Tom, I don't know about you, but I think it's lunchtime.
I'm ready to eat. I'd eat.
I'm glad you said that because that leads us perfectly into the sponsor for today's video. Today's video is brought to you by Good Chop, your #1 source for high-quality American meats and seafood. We've been busting our butts for this video, so I thought I'd treat us to a little something special for lunch. Today we're whipping up some ribeye steaks and thick-cut bacon courtesy of Good Chop. Good Chop gives you easy access to high-quality products. They offer fully customizable boxes of high-quality meat and seafood delivered to your door on your schedule. Their products are vacuum sealed and flash frozen at peak freshness so you can stock your freezer and cook whenever you want. With Good Chop, you can save time and money. Stop wasting time searching for quality cuts that don't cost a fortune. Good Chop's price per meal starts at just $3.74. And there's something for everyone. You can choose from 60 plus high quality cuts. We're talking 100% grass-fed ribeyes, USDA prime filet mignon, wild-caught salmon, free-range and organic chicken breast, chicken wings, pork tenderloin, and thick-cut bacon, which by the way is absolutely delicious. That is good bacon.
It's really good.
Unlike many other companies, Good Chop sources its meat and seafood exclusively from American farms and fisheries. By choosing Good Chop, you support local family farms and independent ranchers right here in the US. And it's not just random farms, it's the good ones. Good Chop especially prides itself on sourcing meat that comes with no antibiotics or added hormones ever. No artificial ingredients, only the good stuff. which is why they're confident with their 100% money-back guarantee. You'll either love Good Chop or get your money back. That's good. That is really good. Best day at work ever.
I don't eat like this at lunch very often.
And neither do I, but we are today thanks to Good Chop. If you guys want to try some delicious meats for yourself, go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use the code JYD120 or click the link in the description below to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes. Once again, goodchop.com/YouTube and use the code JYD120 to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes. With that, lunch is over, so let's get back to work. Couple last steps before we throw a door back on.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's do it.
This is a good little bit of dress up right here. We ran out of fabric. We're gonna wrap this too, but honestly, I don't hate it.
As long as it's not like super echoey, and I don't know why it would be. I actually put some scraps of this on the back side. I don't know.
Oh, keep it from pinging against the...
Vibrating and stuff.
Yeah, that's really smart. We should probably sneak something into these window channels as well. I've got something that might work. Some house
or
seal
not.
stuff.
Otherwise,
more
we
grease.
can use strips of this and poke it in there. And it'll work fine.
Of the felt stuff?
Yes, I've done that.
Ah, that's sneaky. I like that.
Yeah, that'll work. I'll have to make a little strip for there, but...
All Tom did here was slip a little strip of that felt into our window channel, since it's all gone, and they're a couple $100 to get new ones, and a couple weeks out. After this, we threw a little silicone tape on the inside of the wing windows to attempt to stop some of the wind noise from there. It didn't work great, but it might have helped a little. Next up, it was finally time for the carpet. We got the seat out of the way and got to work on laying down some sound deadening. Well, progress is existent, I suppose.
Define progress.
Yeah. We ended up breaking out that Dynapad just because we didn't have enough subfloor stuff, and it was really thick. This one goes in here pretty good, but the pink stuff was really thick and a little too dense to do this kind of stuff.
Don't say dense.
What we've got is 3 rugs from Menards that we found that were cut randomly for like $4 a pop.
Good color.
Yeah, they've got a good color, good fabric, and they're rubber backed. So what does that mean for mounting them and all that? I don't know. But they were $4. I think we're gonna cut these, put our outsides in, we know where those ones go, and then figure all that out. We're avoiding putting stuff under the pedal because, you know, horsepower, that's gotta go all the way down. Also, Toyota in the early 2000s. That's not bad for rugs from Menards. Couple goofy seams, but for $12, you can only complain so much. I don't know about you, but I'm about ready to call it a night.
Yeah, I could call it a night. Beer'd be good with me. I don't like being this tired.
We can come back in the morning finishing up that door, and then if we have the time, this is pretty ugly up front.
Paint, we get some barn paint and a roller. I'll watch Pole Barn Garage tonight and learn how to paint.
Yeah, you should probably do that. It's probably a little past due. All right, we'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
This morning we're wrapping up our carpet. Got a little piece of aluminum there, holding that down for now. I will order a sill plate and come back and cut some more carpet for behind the seat, but we're out of time and materials. I suppose it's about time for a test drive, huh?
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
Okay, so we still have to finish the passenger door. Tom's got our little carpet strip on the bottom. We got to put our ABS sheet right here. We have to do all the weather stripping yet. This one has the top seal, but nothing else, so we're going to do that when we get back. For now, we need to run to town and have O'Reilly scan this with their fancy paint machine so that we can paint match the front clip. Either way, let's hop inside for the first time. Oh, I can already tell this is ridiculously more quiet. Remember how it used to be tingy and loud? Here, I'll play a clip of me sitting in this with it not running. Get to work on finishing up the interior, getting rid of this bit of noise, and yeah, now it's like this loud. Okay, here we go.
Closing the door.
A lot. Let's do the door test before we fire it. It doesn't go bong.
It doesn't go
This is ridiculously quiet. It sounds like a sound booth in here now. What I would say is $300.
Yeah.
By the time you count up all the glue,
Yep.
pretty damn good. It took us 25 hours to do this with 2 people.
So it's not a weekend job, really.
No, big weekend job. Although, if you had all this and didn't have to make all this yourself.
Yeah, if that was already there, that was a day.
Yeah.
Cutting, fit trimming, cutting, measuring. Yep.
Making the roof plate and making all these, because usually these exist. Like,
yeah, the screw holes were already. Yeah, mine was all there. I just had to glue it on.
You just put the gray stuff on. Well, let's see if it runs, see if we can make it to O'Reilly's. Hey!
There we go. It's ready.
Sadness ensues.
Oh, power. Almost hit my head on the window.
I can hear you. I hear an exhaust leak and a little whistle over here, which makes sense.
Wind noise. We haven't done the weather strip over there yet.
Rocks hit the cab and they were quiet.
They didn't make much noise.
They didn't go
bang!
Yeah, they're still hitting.
It's just curling.
We did it.
It's like driving a Lincoln Continental.
This is like driving a modern car. Ish. It's like sitting in a new car with the windows slightly down. How about that?
Yeah, this side's quiet.
I bet if I crack this just a little. Oh, now I can hear the outside. Ooh, I don't like that. Get that out of here. Go away, outside peasants. Yeah, believe it or not, still a lot of wind noise coming through this door with bad weather stripping, but other than that, oh, seat wasn't latched.
Seat must not have been latched.
Oh,
good, the fire went out. My favorite.
I think 3 keys, and then cross your fingers and drive straight to Casey's.
Come on, baby. Oh, don't do that to me.
This is gonna be a long drive to Wisconsin.
Oh, sure, it starts and I got it in gear.
Fuel injection. At least it's quiet. I'm sitting here on the side of the road.
Can't even hear the cars go by.
I think this is getting worse. Try that. God, that's hot. Go for it. My life is falling apart before me. To save us all from having to relive the next 10 minutes of our lives, just know that we sat here and cranked this for a long time until eventually we pushed it off the road and then went up to a local shop and asked for a can of brake clean. We've stolen some brake clean from the guys that helped us with the camper, the poop camper years ago. What do you think? Fire it and drive it a few miles back to your place?
Yep.
Attempt?
At least get more brake clean if it works.
Yeah. Maybe we should be switching gears and going to carburetor swap instead of paint.
Instead of paint?
Yeah. I foresee one of these giving me more trouble on the road.
You don't want to do this all the way to Wisconsin.
I can deal with something being brown all the way to Wisconsin. The brown nose Ford. All right, let's see what that does.
Ready? Like a truck. That didn't even spray.
It doesn't even work. It just started. You gotta be shitting me.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Once again, the answer was just have a beer about it, I guess, but not in this exact scenario, saying that we're driving.
Have a coffee about it.
Yeah, have a coffee about it. There we go. That's the morning alternative.
Do you want to try making it over there and just keep the foot on the throttle? And
I guess. I mean, yeah, if you keep a load on it.
Keep her around 1,500 RPM, she seems to be just happy as can be.
Yeah, totally fine. Let's see, do we put a carburetor on and make this run correct or paint the hood?
Well, looks are more important than drivability.
It's true. That will definitely get us to Wisconsin.
Chrome gets you home.
Chrome gets you home. Yeah, I say we push it to O'Reilly's.
All right, let's see what happens. Should we get some brake clean that actually works?
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
Really good.
True.
Almost guaranteed.
With that, we drove all the way to O'Reilly's to have the paint scan and pick up the last couple items. Once that was done, we returned to Tom's shop to make the old brown nose Ford a brown noser no more. It is time to finally do some paint work here on the channel for the first time ever. I am dressed appropriately as Dalton from Pole Barn Garage. Tom is dressed as Tom, for he is Tom.
Dalton stuff though. 50-footer.
Yeah, we're going for a 50-footer here. Went down to O'Reilly's, had it scanned. I think we got a little over $100 in paint for a good paint match paint. Since we're not doing all one color, we can't just go straight to tractor paint or something cheap. We are trying to match this to this. Yeah, this was
We
more
were
like
told
$1.50.
this thing was brown because it washed off at the pressure wash, right?
Yeah.
Neat little trick.
We're worried about the tape being too sticky.
Right, we don't want it to pull our paint off our doors. So you run it across your leg, and then it's less sticky. It'll still stick on here.
That's pretty clever.
But it's not supposed to take the paint off as bad.
Okay.
Still did it though. A little.
That's just
where
all
there
the,
were chips.
it's all the patina shining
Right,
through.
that'll just be more patina.
All that teal coming through.
You got something like this, you don't want the tape staying on it for days either. You want to get it off as quick as you can. Just something so that as we sand, we don't bump that paint and accidentally sand something we didn't want to paint. And if we don't damage it, in this particular instance, we might just leave it right there and mask the whole truck off and paint it while we're at it. So we'll see. As long as we get to sniff paint.
With that, we got the sanding and prepping for the fastest 5-hour paint job Tom has ever done.
This isn't going to be the prettiest job coming out of here, but it'll be the fastest.
While he handled things inside the paint booth, I was working outside on the passenger door, working to get the old weather strip off and the new weather strip on.
We'll see how many runs we can get. Well,
That's the first one done.
how's it smell?
Spicy. After 2 more layers of paint, we were done and let the truck sit for the night to dry, and then came back in the morning to put all of our trim work back on. After that, we hung the front bumper and the freshly re-weather stripped passenger door, and we were ready to roll this thing out of the shop. Finally, after 5 days, it was all one color, had a brand new interior, and was ready to drive to Wisconsin. Well, aesthetically. Alrighty, we are all packed up and ready to go. Sounds like I still got a bit of a whistle on the quarter glass, the wing window over there. But other than that, this is significantly quiet now. There is a good bit of wind rush just from the air moving past the square that I'm driving down the road. So, can't really blame it there. Our odometer is currently at 7,749 miles. We've got 5.5 hours to go to Chetek, Wisconsin. Let's make it happen. And with that, I turned north onto I-35, headed towards Minnesota. All right, so as you can hear, still kind of loud in here. I think I can move the top hinges forward, get a little tighter seal on the door seal over here. We currently have like a 30-mile-an-hour headwind, of course, because it's Iowa, which means the truck, as far as the truck can tell, it's doing 100 through the air. So yeah, that's gonna make some noise. We've done about 15 miles so far, and we got about a little over 325 left to go. Woohoo! Let's get her done. Boy, I'm struggling to do 70 with the amount of wind. I was doing about 65, and this semi passed me, and it's like he just sucked me forward to 70, and I'm stuck in this draft. I'm using like half as much throttle to go the same speed, so I'm gonna stay behind him or someone with a reefer trailer the whole damn time. All right, I don't know where you guys are going, but I'm following you there. This thing is quite like driving a fridge sideways down the road. Fridge nose. It's not the sides that are fridge-like, it's the nose. The sides aren't punching through the air. The nose is. Now he sped up and he got over. Oh, I'm doomed. Oh, it's slowing down. Also, speaking of down, our gas gauge is going down quite quickly. I think this thing is getting terrible fuel mileage, and I don't think it's all because of the really bad wind resistance. Ooh, a FedEx truck. With that, I continued to follow my new FedEx friend all the way until we were about out of gas and I pulled off to refuel. Alright, that's going. I've got a hell of a draft coming through the floor in a couple spots here. I think probably that giant hole right there is the first spot to look. And probably that giant hole right there. Well, I have this painter's tape, I guess I put on the window earlier to make that quiet. See if I can get some of that up in there. I forgot it is like the back half of February, and North Iowa, of course, is still apparently having winter where we're not down in central Iowa. This was totally comfortable when I left home. I've driven an hour and I'm freezing. I've got some tape over the main holes down there. Hopefully that helps. There's probably 30 little ones where bolts have been removed over the years, so I need to go through with something and seal those up at some point. I also put some tape on that door seal, see if I can get that wind rush noise to stop, make it a little quieter in here. I definitely need to move this door in more up top after looking at it on the outside. Get a little more pressure on that seal, that'll probably help over here. We've done 85 miles and we have 225 to go. Let's get her back on the road. With that, I hopped on I-35 once again and got behind some semis until my exit up by Albert Lee. I like to take the back roads from there to Chetek, and I was hoping I could get away from the headwind, but I couldn't. In fact, on top of the headwind, I found snow. Snowing! Don't tell me I packed my Hawaiian shirts for nothing. This was supposed to be the ironic Winterfest, not the actual Winterfest. Alright, I believe that's exit 224, which is the one we need. Found a half tank of gas, coming up on just shy of 200 miles. I've had to take my shoe off because I was getting a blister on the back of my foot. My knee hurts a bunch and my ankle is killing me. God, this thing is blowing all over the road. This heavy pedal is not great for long trips. Let's get off the interstate and do some 55 mile an hour finally. Maybe conserve a little gas. This thing is a chore to drive on the interstate. It's not quite like the old 98 where you just kind of sit back, relax, and boop, you're there. Next thing you know, this sucker's work. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Elgin, Minnesota. Nothing too crazy about this town that I know of besides the fact that we're at 200 miles since we left the shop. Oh, I lied. There is something unique about this town. They have a John Deere 3300 for sale. Not bad. We're a little under half a tank on the gauge, and we've got 120 miles left to go. I imagine in the next 40 we'll have to stop and fuel up, at which point I think I'm going to tape this window off because it's super annoying. It's just so damn loud. I don't get it. It wasn't loud yesterday, but today it's just leaking air like a damn leaf blower. I don't know. Alright, we've got 120 miles in, exactly 10 gallons. Okay, we're getting exactly 12 miles per gallon. That's easy enough. Added more tape to the window, realized that in doing so I can't roll the window down to tape the door anymore, so yeah, let's see if that fixes it. Probably not, but whatever. Let's go. 115 miles to go. She's still pretty loud, but it's better. Snow is getting a little built up on the windshield. Wonder if these work. No. Oh, there they go. Wow, they're fast. Okay, I hope it never actually rains. Those are not great. Cool how they go opposite directions, though. In an effort to get out of the gloomy weather of Minnesota, I put the hammer down through the back roads and eventually crossed a bridge into Wisconsin where it was magically sunny and smelled like cheese. However, it was still cold as balls. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Menominee. Things up here are good and things down here are even better. I finally found a way to comfortably run that goddamn brake pedal without blowing my knee out. The answer was the hood prop stick. Woohoo! It also works pretty good to just shove in your shoulder and act as a cruise control going down the road. Looks like we're at 270 miles done right now with 45 to go. I am getting thirsty. For the next half hour, me and the stick of death cruised comfortably down the highway until I eventually got bored of using it and decided to just put the pedal on the floor and get the hell to the cabin. Oh yeah! The extra speed and earlier arrival time were much appreciated, but they did come at a cost. I was still driving a truck from 1959 with a straight beam front axle, and it rode like one. In fact, it rode like a 3/4 ton version of one. Whoa! I will say one advantage of this weird, random, really high idle that won't go away is that it doesn't stall anymore. 300 miles done, 13 to go. It might do the whole trip without stalling once. The trick I found was every time I stop for gas or anything, just leave it running. Don't shut it off, ever. Like, if it fires in the morning, never shut it off again until you're done driving that night. That is fine. Fuel injection. Man, I don't know who aimed these headlights, but what the hell is that? that right one is pointing straight down. Like, straight down. Hell, even the high beam on the right side is pointing straight down. Let's get there before the sun goes down. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the cabin.
No trespass. Oh wait, wrong house. What the hell is that thing?
That is the most Angusy vehicle I've ever driven. I had pillows stuffed in corners. I had one shoe on. I was driving with a stick. It was like you in the F-100.
I didn't have a stick.
That is this entire week's project. Now in your driveway.
Well, make sure it leaves.
We might have to work on that. Oh, you got any more of those?
Yeah.
I need one. With that, we headed to the bar to join the town of Chetek on their kickoff for Winterfest. Now, we were supposed to have a whole thing up there with them this year with vintage snowmobiles and a show that you guys could come to, but unfortunately, we didn't even have winter this year. Hell, the coldest thing around here was Bob's Sick Moves. On Saturday, however, they did still have a small vintage snowmobile show at the marina, which you guys can come to and see for yourselves next year. Should be a lot bigger. And on top of that, they still had the bikini runs, which is a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness.
So she raised just from last night to this morning $1,085.
Good job.
Congrats!
Were you scared?
So alongside all the fun you can have at Chetek Winterfest in general, and see all the vintage sleds and stuff that we'll be hosting next year, you can come support an actual cause. If you guys are around, make the trip. We'll see you here next year for Winterfest.
MILFs on sleds.
As is tradition, after a full day of fun, we go out for a full night of fun, make funny paper hats, new friends, and probably sing way too much karaoke.
We can't use this because it's copyrighted.
Once we were done with the annual squashing of any good reputation our group might have developed since we were last in Chetek, we decided to call it a night and hit the sack. Morning. Whoa, this is the first time I talked today. Good morning, folks. That's better. It is the last morning at the cabin. We are headed back to Iowa. Angus and I are headed down towards Ames. So we got 5.5 hours to go once again. Nothing has changed since we last saw this. I was hoping to carb swap it, but we just ran out of time, so we're gonna try to see if the old struggle bus will make it all the way back. If I can get it started, it made it here just fine, so it should make it back. It'll either go right away or never do anything. I'm afraid it's option B. This might take a while. Let me tell you what, folks, this might be the most reliable battery I've ever seen. It's the only thing reliable on this truck besides the fact that it isn't going to start when you need it to. Take a while turned out to be a bit of an understatement. For some reason at this point, brake clean is not even making a difference. There's no ECU signal for the injectors, and I swear sometimes none for the spark either. Regardless, 18 minutes later, I must have punched the cheat code in just right with the key, and it finally lit off. Let's go. God, I hate fuel injection. All right, we are never shutting it off again until we're home. With that, we loaded up the last of our stuff as fast as we could and hit the road, determined never to turn that key again until this thing was getting a carburetor. Hey, that's way more like it. I should have stopped and done that on the way up. I do have a little wind rush past the cab, but the seals are finally sealed, and it is half the volume in here. This makes all that work worth it. With the adjustment to the door hinges making all the difference, the truck cab was finally pleasant to be in and the miles started ticking off. We continued our way down through Wisconsin, enjoying everything the back roads had to offer. Eventually we passed over the Great Mississippi and back into the state of Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Minnesota, Wabasha. That right there is Slippery's. That's the bar that was referenced in Grumpy Old Man, but not the one that was actually in it. However, they do totally embrace the Grumpy Old Man thing, and it's all themed in that way. It's a really cool bar. If you're ever up here, check it out. They've got a gift shop too. You can get Grumpy Old Men flannels and the Walter Matthau duck fishing pole. 237 miles left to go. Eventually we stopped again for gas and to check on a driveline vibration. Alright, I just did the math and we did in fact get better fuel mileage. We went from exactly 12 to exactly 12.5531914.894.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, look at how far the yoke sticks out of the transmission.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
What are you, compensating for something? What are you doing?
I guess so. Oh my god.
It doesn't move any, but I'm sure it's me that makes a difference.
Well, that ain't good. I just went in to piss and came out with the loudest noise ever. I know just what it was. Yes. I think I caught her just in time. Where'd that other hose clamp come from? Oh, up here. Drama averted. Okay, let's see if it starts. You know what I hate? Fuel injection. Come on, you big pile of shit. At least there's lots to look at.
Like what?
Blue and brown. Why does it do this? It's like it doesn't even fuel. It just gets weaker and weaker and weaker. Alright, get the brake clean. Alright. Give her hell. Alright, come on, little buddy. Not even firing the injectors. Yeah. Alright, give her hell. It's not even firing the injectors. That was just running off brake clean. You know what we can do? Cycle the key. Okay. I doubt that does a goddamn thing, but we'll find out. There's no injection signal. It's not even trying to run. I'm gonna go punch the computer. See what that does. Work, you piece of shit. Try that. Oh, I thought for a second. More punching. Run, you pile of shit. I've mended it! I'm a genius! Onward! I can fix anything! Unfortunately, by now, we once again have a 35-mile-an-hour headwind, and we have to be in Ames by 1 o'clock for an appointment that Angus has. This would be fine according to Google Maps, but the fridge nose, more accurately named parachute nose, refuses to do above 65. However, Angus's truck with the Y block and no overdrive will do 85. So we decide to use that to our advantage and set up a little bit of Talladega drafting. This is the closest thing I've ever had to 60s NASCAR. Yee-hoo! This is the most fun I've ever had on the interstate. As long as we don't see a cop, we should be just fine. As the odometer kept rolling, we kept getting better and better at drafting down the interstate. In fact, for the majority of our drive, especially when I wasn't holding a camera, I think our bumpers were only about 3 foot apart. This was making a huge difference for my truck, but it was also making a difference for his. Taking that pressure off the tailgate in the back of the truck really straightened him out down the road, and he was able to pick up some speed as well. It was like we completely deleted the headwind. And for the first time on camera, the new Iowa signs have been overdue since I was born. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Iowa. Those were well overdue. It's no fancy one like Minnesota, but not bad. Definitely an improvement. When we hit Clear Lake, we pulled off to refuel and do some math to figure out what our mileage was with the headwind and the drafting. We picked up a whole mile per gallon. That's it. I'm running at third throttle. We picked up 1.
Is it making a difference up there?
Oh yeah, it's way faster. Right behind me, and immediately goes, whoa!
That's cool. Let's keep going. And keep going we did. We hopped right back on the interstate and continued the last 90 miles drafting just as hard as we were before. During this 90 miles, the highlight of the trip came for me where we blew past a newer Corvette with 2 trucks, each of which had the aerodynamic efficiency of a building. In no time at all, we found our exit, drove past the familiar cornfields of home, and ended our trip. 312 miles later, we're home. Oh boy, the idle air control valve is still screaming just as loud as I had before. This thing still runs like shit. But it did complete a 600 something mile drive all the way to Wisconsin and back. Oh, there it closed. Pile of junk fuel injection. Mookers! Gib hug. Gib. Come here, Stinky. Hi. We lived. Well, there you have it, folks. 600 miles later, we have ourselves a truck where the interior, the exterior, everything is all dialed in. This thing looks nice. It drives pretty okay. As good as a 1959 F-150 can. And most importantly, the interior is finally whisper quiet. Honestly, for $300, I'm very impressed with how that came out. With that being said, a huge thank you to Tom for all of his help. Thanks to Angus for the invite up to the cabin, and thanks to the city of Chetek for hosting Winterfest and what was supposed to be our vintage sled stuff, but, you know, it's essentially June and February. If you haven't already, check out our merch on junkyarddigs.com. We'll see you right here next week for another episode. Peace. I'm going to go put a carburetor on this and throw that TPI as far as I can into a trash can.